To get rid of the stigma of Islam is sometimes have this stigma that Islam is bad, and that's not the case at all whatsoever. So they started the association, tried to reach other veterans, but it halfway got up off the ground. It moved up and down. It fluctuate. People get old. Diabetes was taking a lot of those guys. Agent Orange, a lot of those guys was going through different medical situations, and from the things that they were being, you know, uh, tested with in Vietnam, and the war torn mindset, killing and so much death going on around you. I mean, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect you in a way that can really alter your mental state. And with him going through all that and trying to again trying to help his fellow brother and trying to develop this Muslim Veterans Association that was going to help. He began to really settle in after that. Everything was about activism. Everything was about spreading Islam. Everything was about teaching your fellow brother, building your fellow brother up. To the time that he just told me he was tired. The diabetes started to really wear at him, and started to really take a toll on him. So I say all of this to say, if you think about the history of the African American people from the time of slavery on until now, and you have various heroes within the African American community, such as Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and others, so many others, that have affected change within their community. And the reason why I say he's my hero, because he affected change in a way within a small community of African Americans at that time that didn't understand who they were. Is this not American history? Is that not American history? Is that not upliftment? Is that not civil rights movement? Is that not growth? Is growth not what we're trying to do daily? This is what we're trying to do daily, as a whole, as a people, as humanity. So they got together within a group of themselves and moved a large group of community to areas where that they can find some mental stability through Islam, through the practice of Islam, and understanding it in its totality, in letter and spirit. Along the way, being guided by amazing man, amazing sheikh, a loving sheikh, a loving and respecting, and the whole time being guided. The whole time. And I quote there's never been nothing like this in America. This is American history. This is American history, and I only hope, the reason why it took me so long is because I only hope now that I'm doing it some justice right now. I'm giving you bits and pieces and bits and pieces and bits and pieces, and this is a continuous stories, not story. I don't want to say story. I'm trying to use the word story, but it's a continuous story. It's a continuous a historical event. It's a continuous historical event, which we are now sitting on 3-4 generations of young African Americans, doctors and lawyers, tradesmen and engineers, professionals who didn't even begin to think about schooling, who didn't even begin to think about college. Although you have a lot of individuals that have come out of the ghettos and out of the hoods and achieved high levels of education, but that's individually. I mean, you think about collectively. You think about a large group of African Americans collectively changing their mindset, changing that slave mentality mindset that was developed in the ghettos and plagued us for so many, how long? That plagued us for how long? Think about when you couldn't get an education because of segregation, when you couldn't vote because of segregation. So, is this not American history? Is this not our all history? This is not something that, needs to be researched and explored and written down and shared constantly. And again, I pray that I'm doing this some justice. I'm here within the last 10 days of Ramadan, the blessed month of Ramadan, making prayer that the Almighty accept my prayer, my forgiveness, and the prayers of others around me, and strengthen our bond as brotherhood and sisterhood, and keep us together as a community, keep us together as a whole, as humanity. Wow, is this really true, Ismail? Is that really true? What you went through, what happened to you, and it's not what happened, it's what we've been blessed with. What we have been blessed with as a group of people. And this is my history, which comes and stems from my father and so many others on down. This is the history. Muhammad Atiq Shahid, the lineage and the foundation he left and laid for us. And Sheikh Said Mubarak Ali Shah Gilani and his family, and the lineage and the foundation they laid and set for us as well. The history is real. The history is real. And it's amazing. Somebody told me one time, he said, this is like a true live rags to riches story. It's like a true live rags to riches story. I said, you are absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. And it should be told. And I pray that I'm giving it enough context that you can understand a little bit of what happened, a little bit of what the history is about. I pray that I'm doing that, and I feel I should be doing a lot more. We should be doing a lot more, uplifting our brothers and sisters within our communities that we live in, or going back to the community that we came from and bringing more people out of there, or having them gain some type of understanding of who they are, and then letting them make the decision themselves, whether they want to stay in that environment or leave that environment, because it's happening. It's happening. How many African Americans are getting together in small communities, all over Georgia and all over Virginia, everywhere else, and developing properties and lands on their own. This is the outline. From 82, 81, 82, 83. That's the outline. What African American community was doing at that time. And now everybody's doing it. Guess what outline you're following? So yes, this is American history. This is why we wanted to explain the history of this community and the history of, you know, where I came from, and my father, my hero, and dedicating season 3 to him as well. So I pray that I did enough to explain, you know, this history, this American history. I pray I did enough. And my father's missed by so many. I spoke to a brother the other day that I haven't spoke to in so long, out of Philadelphia. And when I spoke to him, he said, "Man, I miss your father." He says, he used to call me, talk to me, just talk. There was no judgmental. He didn't judge me. He didn't ask me. If I expressed something to him, he would tell me, my wrongs. He wouldn't mince his words on that. But he would talk. He appreciated the phone call that he got. But this is the, in speaking to my father in his last days or his last years, this is the mentality I got from him. I picked up from him. I heard it from him. I heard it from his own mouth. And what he told me, before he left, he said, revive the history. Revive the history. What history is that? African American history. The history of this community. The history of growth. The history of generational growth. That's been here since that time. Since the coming of Sheikh Said Mubarak Ali Shah Gilani in 81. That's the history. Revive the history. Revive the African American. Help the African American people. We all have to understand who we are. We got to start beginning to understand who we are. How can we do that in those environments? It's very difficult. It's very difficult to raise children in a New York City environment. Although people do it, it's extremely difficult. So I'm here to. I just tried to give it enough context and understanding, who my father was, and how much he meant to so many people, and the lineage and that he's left. My brothers and sisters, my mothers, everybody that miss him so much. I wish, people, some people that do tune in and listen to the podcast, knew of him or had some small interaction with him. Charismatic, very intelligent, and I thank the Almighty. I can only continuously thank the Almighty that, he gave me a father such as this man. He gave me, a teacher such as his teacher, his sheikh and my sheikh. I can only continuously thank the Almighty. I can never give enough. I can never say enough. I can never, the words can't match what my heart really feels. They can't match what my heart really feels. So I try to give a little bit, a little bit of words of trying to get you to understand what it was, what this history is. So, in closing, we tonight fed our small community here. Right now, we're here in South Carolina, York, South Carolina. We fed our small community break fast, iftar.